Hey, what's up, guys? It's Tommy here, and I am a black Latino trans queer man living in Florida. So, on today's episode of You Shouldn't Even Start That Crap in the First Place, DeSantis laws are basically crumbling or being dismantled by the judges, right? Some laws have been deemed unconstitutional, some laws have been still being repealed, right? And I personally think that, it seems to be, not I personally think, but it seems to be that Florida is not a purple state. It's not a swing state. I don't think people really want to go that far to the right. And I think some people are tired of the conversation around trans people. Honestly, to be very transparent, I kind of miss the days where we weren't talked about too much. Because we could control the narrative if, we met somebody or came out, you'd be like, hey, I'm trans, and there was almost a control of the narrative. With this constant barrage of attacks and misinformation and disinformation from transphobes and the like, it's now harder to come out, right? It's harder to be honest with people. And I think there's a lot of us that after a while of you getting to a certain stage in your transition, you don't really want to talk about it. You just want to live your life as a normal person, right? Just a day-to-day average Joe. If you did want to kind of tell your story and be more authentic with people, it would probably be in certain spaces, right? So I am very out in certain spaces because I feel like, one, the conversation is not going to go crazy and people start really asking me personal questions that I think are inappropriate. Two, I want to have to deal with people's own expectations of gender. I don't want to have to deal with that, mostly for the part because I then it becomes burdensome on me, and I'm having to take the brunt of having to tell you stuff about gender that you didn't know because you never have to think about it. And it's funny how we police gender. It's amazing. So before I transitioned, I was severely bullied, and it didn't stop. To me, bullying should stop in high school, right? But there were certain spaces, especially when I was competing in bodybuilding, I was really, really in my mind, I wasn't that big. I was really just 175, between 160 and 175 pounds off stage, right? I was 145 pounds competing. I wasn't big, but because I was really muscular and had certain features, it was amazing how people would make my life miserable, even if I didn't really deal with them. I had my car keyed, thrown out of bathrooms, inappropriate questions all the time, staring, So there just came a point where I was already feeling pretty masculine. People were already making my life very hard. So at some point I was like, I should just focus on myself and whatever makes me happy. And so I went down the long, arduous road of transitioning. Because for me, it was a no-brainer. It was a no-brainer. And thank God that I did it because my life got peaceful. I don't really care if people find out whether I'm trans or not, as long as it can be respectful and not bring it up when I don't want to talk about it. But I find that with transphobes especially, they love to talk about it. They love for your name to be in their mouths, as if you want everybody to know your business. One, and as if being trans is just, oh my God. It's dude, I'm just trans, that's it. What are you so obsessed about, And the problem with the transphobia, and it's showing up today, I know you heard the story by now about the Olympic boxer from Algeria, Iman, that had XY chromosomes, even though she was born female. And they just like, poor girl, I feel so bad for her. Because people that don't know about gender and sex and biology at a deeper level are talking about this woman as if they do, right? We don't really learn that in school. And the reason why we don't learn it in school is because most people can't handle that information. They just can't. There was a time where people were checking before their children were born, whether they were in Florida, whether they were intersex or transgender. And were intersex or had some kind of genetic anomaly. And they had to stop doing it because a lot of people were upset when they were getting intersex kids, or, the kids were different and stuff like that, because people view being anything other than straight and cisgender as weird or strange. And then we want to use religion to kind of back up our claims, which I think is horrible, because for me, religion has to do with faith, right? The belief in things unseen. In some senses, for some people, like mythology, it has to do with you and a higher power, but everybody relates to the higher power very differently, and I don't think it's up to anyone to judge how they relate to their higher power, or to try to figure out what the higher power is going to do, because it's a higher power, it's a higher being, you don't understand it. So we use like our mythology or our religion to really subjugate people to hate and bigotry. I don't know. It just feels like so sad. It feels like really, really sad. It feels like in the country today, but especially in Florida, we have this culture of people who want to live unaware of things. They don't want to know. They don't want to learn from the mistakes of the past. And if you talk about the past, they tell you you're playing victim. And I really, really, over the years, have really hated when people all say, "Oh, you're playing the victim card." Like, people talking about past traumas and things that society needs to rectify is not playing victim. Okay, that's not what it is. If there was a wrong being done, you should want to fix the wrong, so that way it doesn't continue to happen, and then you will stop making victims. Because victims are not, they don't come out of thin air, And even as a Black Latino queer man, I still try to do my best in spite of my obstacles and challenges and things of that nature. But if I decide to open my mouth and speak about it, I should not be playing victim. I'm just telling you the actual reality of what the situation is. Right? But the tides are changing, or they seem to be changing. I honestly think that, and this is really my opinion, I really don't think that people want to hate. I think that there's a really small percentage of people that want to hate, right, and want to blame their issues on other people. But there's a really large percentage of people, myself included, that want to look at the past, rectify the past, so that we can make a better present and therefore make a better future. That's what I want. I want that for my community, and I want that for other people too, not just for myself. So I leave you with this. Don't lose hope. Never lose hope. I know things were looking kind of gloomy at first, but I need you to never lose hope. Never lose the fight. In Spanish, we say never lose your chispa. You want to keep that energy. Do not let these people scare you anymore. They are way more scared of us than we are of them. I'm seeing that now. All the money that they have, all the power that they have, and they still want to complain about 1 to 2% of the population and say that we're spreading some woke virus. Please. Anyway, I hope that you have the best day ever. Bye.